bodies weren't falling for him at some points in that fight. But I believe we won that fight. Clearly, we should be two-time world champion right now.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis is back to his trolling ways, and this time Lamont Roach Jr. is in his sights. After their fight ended in a controversial draw, Tank wasted no time expressing his feelings toward Roach. Rivals have also made remarks about his pretty boy excuse in the ring, which has only set up potential future matchups for him. However, it seems that Tank's main focus is on money, as he revealed who he planned to call out if he had won against Roach.
Who gonna call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here.
Ain't gonna do him.
He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Patch you up. In a heated live session, Davis mocked Roach, claiming that he was still the superior fighter and that Roach should be grateful he wasn't knocked out. But Roach didn't back down. He made it clear that Tank had used all his power to win and still couldn't seal the deal. As things calmed down, it seems Tank may not be done with Roach just yet.
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in I lost track in
The fight itself was an exciting one. Roach came in sharp, outworking Tank in several rounds, even having a standout moment in the night that sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Tank took a knee, and while many fans and analysts believed it was a clear knockdown, the referee saw it differently. That moment changed everything. If it had been ruled correctly, Roach would have walked away with the biggest win of his career. Instead, the fight was scored a majority draw, and Tank kept his WBA lightweight title. Despite the controversy, Tank has been in full troll mode ever since, hitting social media as soon as he could to remind Roach that he's still the champion and that a draw wasn't enough for Roach to claim victory. "You should be thanking me for not ending your career," Davis wrote in one post. In another, he flatly dismissed Roach's performance, saying, "You had the fight of your life and still couldn't beat me." But Roach wasn't going to sit back quietly. He fired back, telling Tank that he knew the truth. Tank gave it everything and still couldn't finish him off.
It was both even. If we watched the fight, they was both watching each other. Sometimes they stood right in front of each other. We was just trying to figure out where the holes was at. It was a very skillful fight.
And which is one of the things that when you fight somebody that you know.
You know what happened in that ring. Roach said during an Instagram live session, "You felt it. You did your best, but you couldn't beat me. I told you I wasn't Frank Martin." This was a direct challenge Tank clearly didn't like. Davis then explained his reason for taking a knee during the fight, saying, "Y'all keep talking about that knee. I took a knee because I wanted to, not because he did anything special. I was just chilling, thinking about what I was going to eat after the fight." Despite his words, the moment exposed a rare vulnerability from Davis, and Roach has been using it to apply more pressure.
And I thought I was doing my thing, so I'm not really that frustrated about that. But if that was kind of a knockdown, I will win a majority decision.
Ongoing back and forth is forcing Tank to reconsider his future. Before the Roach fight, Davis had been vocal about his plans to retire soon. He had mentioned he had 3 more fights after Roach and would walk away from boxing by the end of 2025. But that draw seems to have shifted his mindset. "Yeah, definitely changed my plans," Tank admitted at the post-fight press conference. "I probably have 4 more fights now."
The future.
Yeah, it definitely changed my plans. It definitely changed my plans. I probably got like 4 more fights now, for sure.
This is a complete turnaround from where he was just months ago. By the end of 2024, Tank had expressed his exhaustion with boxing and was ready to walk away, with his plans already set. But now, it's clear he has something to prove. The draw against Roach has been eating at him, and while he won't admit it directly, his constant trolling speaks volumes. Meanwhile, Keen Davis is on a mission to expose Tank. and he's not holding anything back. Since Tank's controversial draw with Roach, Keane has been all over social media, making it clear he's never believed Tank was the fighter he claimed to be. To Keane, Tank's entire reputation has been built on hype, not skill. After seeing Tank's struggle against Roach, Keane is even more convinced that Tank isn't what people think he is. If they ever face off, Keane is certain he'd take Tank down without a doubt.
What's the biggest advantage that Keyshawn has
Against Tank?
Yeah.
He's a great boxer. He sounds a great boxer, and he got power behind it too. So I can see that fight just being an entertaining fight. He sounds an entertainer like the Tank comes in there trying to knock you out. I can see that fight just being entertained and doing later rounds. Keyshawn stop.
Keane first voiced his thoughts on Instagram Live, immediately critiquing Tank's performance. "I think Lamont won," he began, making it clear where he stood. "I definitely think Lamont won. A draw is fine, but I felt like Roach had it." He didn't just express an opinion, though, he backed it up with evidence. If the knee in the 9th round had been scored a knockdown, Roach would have taken the W, making him the new WBA lightweight champion. Instead, Tank retained his title, and the controversy continued to fuel discussions on whether he truly is the best at 135. "If they run it back, you already know what's going to happen," Keane added, confidently stating that Roach would win a rematch without question.
Nigga trash. Not. I'm talking about the opponent. Trash. I just don't like how.
However, this wasn't just about Roach. Keane wanted to insert himself into the conversation as well. He doesn't just think Roach could beat Tank. He believes he would do even worse to him. "I'm the best at 135, he said with full confidence. "Either one of them, I'm knocking them out." He wasn't unsure or hesitant, speaking with the certainty of someone who already knows what would happen. "If you give me either of them before the rematch, I'm taking them out. I'm putting all these guys down." The message was loud and clear. Tank and Roach can go back and forth, but if Keane gets to either of them first, he'll dominate the division.
I don't want to fight one of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who I fight at this point. I don't care. But I'm telling you, if you give me either or before they rematch, I'm fucking their rematch up. They getting put. I'm telling you, I ain't even playing. I ain't playing, bro. I'm young. I'm on fire. I'm young and I'm on.
And came the moment where Keane really went after Tank. "Don't say Tank will knock me out anymore," he stated, shutting down that possibility once and for all. "Don't even fix your mouth to say this man could knock me out. Crazy." It wasn't just trash talk. It was a full rejection of everything Tank had built his reputation on: the power, the knockouts, and the fear factor. Keane doesn't buy any of it, and in his view, Tank has never faced someone like him. When they step into the ring, it'll be a completely different kind of fight than Tank has ever encountered before.
I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds, and even without the knee, that should have been a knockdown. So I don't think there's any excuse for me not to win tonight, but that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Keane isn't just talking for the sake of it. There's a genuine possibility that he could be next in line to face Tank. While Tank has said he's open to a rematch with Roach, he also made it clear that it won't happen next. Fans have speculated that if it's not Roach, names like Devin Haney and Shocker Stevenson are possibilities. But Keane Davis has put himself into the mix as well. His personal attacks on Tank have created a build-up for a potential fight that would be unlike anything fans have seen from Tank in a long time. Keane isn't just calling out Tank for his last performance, he's challenging his entire career. He argues that Tank has never faced true threats, only opponents that made him look good.
Quality, if I'm Tank Davis and I'm coming off a disappointment in terms of my offensive output, I'm not going straight to the best defender in the division. I'm looking for some other fight, and I think the logical fight for him is a rematch with Lamont Roach.
Now that Tank has been in a real fight and barely survived, Keane believes the myth surrounding Tank is starting to crumble. He wants to be the one to finish what others have started. But Keane isn't the only one criticizing Tank. Tim Bradley, one of Tank's harshest critics for years, has always questioned the quality of his opposition and the management of his career. However, even Bradley had to admit that Tank had something special, particularly in how he responded to the pressures of being a star. Over time, Bradley began to appreciate Tank's qualities, even if he didn't always agree with his behavior. But after what he saw in the fight against Lamont Roach Jr., all respect was lost.
I think when he found out man, this guy is in front of me. He's taking it. I think it was too late. I thought it was disappointing that it didn't draw.
It wasn't just that Tank underperformed. It was his attitude and sense of entitlement that stood out. Bradley had seen a lot in boxing, but Tank's actions in that fight left him shaking his head. He had expected a dominant performance from Davis, a statement win that would silence critics and prove he was still the man to beat at 135. Instead, Tank looked vulnerable and, at worst, acted as if he was above the sport.
Who it is? Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
Bradley was disgusted by what he saw and didn't hold back in his analysis. He felt Tank had been given unfair advantages, that the fight was being managed in a way that protected him, rather than letting the action play out naturally. The 9th round incident was the perfect example. Bradley had never seen a fighter take a knee like that, pause the action on their own terms, and have it ignored by the referee. It was in that moment that Bradley realized Tank wasn't just a fighter, he was being treated like boxing royalty, with the rules bent in his favor. For someone like Bradley, who prided himself on fighting the hard way, this was unacceptable.
Who's up? Yeah, that was bullshit. It should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person that can do that is the referee. The referee can stop the action and say, hey, let me take you to the...
Bradley also took issue with Tank's attitude during the fight. There was no urgency, no real effort to take control when the fight was slipping away. It almost seemed like Tank believed his status alone would guarantee a win, as if the judges wouldn't dare score it against him. Bradley had seen fighters lose their hunger before, but this felt different. Tank wasn't just coasting, he was acting as if doing the bare minimum was enough, and for Bradley, that was a major problem.
Yeah, stop closing up, gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around.
Bradley was especially frustrated because he had begun to change his perspective on Tank. After Tank's knockout victory over Ryan Garcia, Bradley acknowledged his progress, noting the patience, timing, and ring IQ Tank displayed. He had even defended Tank against critics who labeled him overrated, arguing that his power made him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. However, Bradley couldn't shake his disappointment. It wasn't just about one fight, it was about what it indicated for Tank's future. If Tank was already showing signs of complacency, believing he didn't need to prove himself any longer, what would happen in his future bouts? How would he perform against hungry, young fighters like Keane Davis, eager to dethrone him? What about a showdown with Devin Haney or Shocker Stevenson? Fighters who wouldn't allow Tank to coast through rounds. Bradley was unimpressed and wasted no time expressing his concerns.
Say, we want to fight me, so we gonna fight.
But what do you think about the decision?
I told Lamont won.
You told Lamont won. Got you. I'll talk to you later.
Bradley, boxing is about discipline, heart, and the will to push through tough moments. He had fought in wars, gone to the limit, and never expected special treatment. That's why Tank's attitude disturbed him. It didn't matter how much talent Tank had. If he wasn't willing to fight like a true champion, then he wasn't. 1. Despite the backlash, it seems Tank has reached a point where he no longer cares about fans' opinions. He's no longer focused on proving himself as the best in his division. Asterisk. Right now, Tank's primary concern is money, not legacy. Jake Paul presents the biggest payday for him. The signs are all there. Jake was spotted in Tank's locker room before the fight, and the cameras made sure to highlight him during the broadcast. When Tank was asked about his next opponent, he avoided the question, hinting that he already knew who it would be. He even refused to mention Jake's name when pressed by the media, suggesting that negotiations are already in motion. The fight with Jake Paul wouldn't be about competition. It would be a business venture. Jake knows how to market a fight, and Tank seems to be at a point where paydays outweigh challenges. Tank has already indicated that a rematch with Lamont Roach isn't happening. Despite the controversy surrounding their fight, the WBA may push for an immediate rematch, but Tank doesn't seem interested. If they press the issue, he might just vacate the title and move on. It's clear that belts aren't his priority anymore. It's all about securing the biggest spectacle. In terms of size, a fight with Jake Paul doesn't make sense. Jake walks around at 200 pounds and has weighed in as high as 227 pounds for his fight with Mike Tyson, while Tank is a natural 135-pounder, maybe 140 at most. Even if Jake managed to cut down to 185 pounds, there would still be a 45-pound difference. But this isn't about fairness. It's about selling the fight. Jake has called out smaller fighters before, including Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. A fight with Tank would just be another chapter in Jake's series of matchups.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in boxing?
Jake knows exactly how to rile people up and create demand for a fight. He's already hinted that the size difference would give him an advantage over Tank, while still showing respect for Tank as a fighter. Such comments keep the conversation alive, and Tank seems to be on board. If Tank were genuinely interested in fighting Devin Haney or Shocker Stevenson, he would have mentioned them when asked, but instead he dodged the question, allowing speculation to grow. This is precisely how a Jake Paul fight would be promoted.
Oh, I'm not. He's a champ though too, undefeated. And what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at.
Tank's fan base defended him against critics who questioned his level of competition. They argued that he was the most dangerous puncher in boxing and didn't need to fight the biggest names to prove himself. But now, even his most loyal supporters are struggling to defend him. His performance against Roach was underwhelming, and his attitude after the fight made it clear that he's not taking these matchups seriously. If he chooses to fight Jake Paul next, it would be undeniable proof that Tank no longer cares about proving he's the best. He's focused solely on the biggest payday.
Go ahead, Daz, get in the ring, Daz.